Good afternoon. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Complaint Committee of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force, called for Tuesday, May 11th, 2010. Chris, would you call the roll, please?
Member Goldman?
Present.
Goldman present. Member Johnson? Johnson excused. Member Caneva?
Present.
Caneva present. Mr. Chair, there is a quorum.
Thank you very much. Are there any agenda changes? I don't think so.
There are no agenda changes, Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
Would you call the first item, please?
First item is the approval of minutes of April 13, 2010.
Members?
I move we approve the minutes.
I'll second that. Is there any public comment on the minutes for our meeting of Tuesday, April 13th, 2010? Seeing none, would you call the roll, please, Chris?
On the motion, Member Caneva?
Aye.
Caneva, aye. Member Goldman?
Aye.
Goldman, aye, Mr. Chair. There are two ayes.
Thank you. Call item 2, please.
Item number 2 is determination of jurisdiction on complaint filed by Majed Crawford against the City Attorney's Office for allegedly not providing public information.
Thank you. Is the complainant present? Will you please approach and state your case as to why you think this task force has jurisdiction over your item?
I'm hoping that this task force has jurisdiction.
Could you give us some background about your complaint?
Yes, the city attorney's office, they provide services to different departments in terms of reviewing RFPs and RFQs. And sometimes they charge the departments a fee, sometimes they do it for free. And so in the Western Addition Fillmore, there was a project that's happening in the community, and it looks like the city attorney's office is charging, it looks like it could be anywhere from $20,000 to $70,000 to create an RFP. And so that's what led me to email Jack Song and ask him, how do you determine, what you charge to each department in terms of, assisting with an RFP or RFQ. And so, and then I also asked him, can you give me any information regarding how you determine, that? And also, I asked him, could he give me a list of the last 20 times that he's received funding from a department in terms of, services for the creation or reviewing of an RFP, RFQ. And his response was, we do not have any documents responsive to your request.
Okay.
And so I feel like this is public information, what guides him in terms of determining how you charge certain departments. If it's arbitrary, if there's no documents, then that's fine, I just want to know. And because I would hate for it to be a situation where, maybe he's charging one area more than he charges another area for the same work. And if that's the case, then it will make myself, when I'm in the public comment at a Board of Supervisors meeting, then I could say, hey, there's no determination on how they charge, and can the board weigh in, because maybe this community should not be charged as much as maybe another community. And so I feel it's public information. I feel there must be some guidelines that the city attorney office determines what they charge departments for RFP, RFQ. I have documentation if you want to see it.
Oh, we may have some questions for you after.
Okay.
Have anything else? Is the respondent here? Will you please approach? Thank you, Mr.
Let me sit
Majid.
down?
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jackson. I'm with the Office of City Attorney. I'm the Public Information Officer. So we received a complaint from Mr. Crawford on February 9th, and to our interpretation of the request was that Mr. Crawford wanted specific information relating to RFPs and also the last 20 times that we've received these RFPs. Our office actually do not have a database where we keep track of all the RFPs. Since the city attorney advises all city departments, and that was listed in Mr. Crawford's request, we have more than 150 attorneys often working on these different RFPs. So we do not have a tracking system or a database for that. And that's why we answered back that we do not have responsive document to his specific request.
Okay.
And I also want to know one last thing, that the request does touch on the issue of attorney-client privilege. A lot of these RFPs sometimes come in, they're in draft forms, and sometimes it involves legal proceedings that we cannot share with the public. We really have to keep that in between clients that we advise.
Did you suggest that to the complainant, that he was asking for information that was privileged?
Yes, there were two requests that came in. One was, the first request was February, I believe, 9th, or early February, and we did tell the requester that it's part of attorney-client privilege and we cannot share that information.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have you questions for either?
Mr. Song? So this is actually a jurisdiction meeting, and I understand your point of view, but
Sure.
what we're here to decide is if we have jurisdiction in this case.
Correct.
Do you or your office contest that we have jurisdiction over this case, or are you saying this is outside of our jurisdiction, irregardless of the facts of the case? Is what I'm saying.
Right. No, of course,
Okay.
there's jurisdiction.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Irregardless is not a word. Thank you. I would entertain a motion.
I move that we find jurisdiction in this case.
I second that. Is there public comment on jurisdiction in this item? Seeing none, will you call the roll, please?
On the motion, Member Knebber?
Aye.
Knebber, aye. Member Goldman?
Aye.
Goldman, aye. Mr. Chair, there are 2 ayes.
Thank you. So this matter will be heard at the next full task force meeting,
On the 25th, Mr. Chair.
25th. You call item 3, please?
Item number 3 is determination of jurisdiction on complaint filed by Paula Datesh against the Arts Commission for allegedly not notifying her of an agenda item.
Is a complainant present? I see no complainant present. Is a respondent present? Will you please approach? And you know the drill, so I won't bore you with the details.
Good afternoon, members. I'm Howard Lazar, Street Arts Program Director for the Arts Commission of San Francisco. And I just wanted to say that I'm referring you to our April 14th response. And your Deputy City Attorney feels that you do not have jurisdiction in this matter. And it's following our contention that aside from what the Art Commission did, which was duly post the agenda and the minutes of the meetings that Ms. Datish is talking about, we are not required by the Sunshine Ordinance to personally notify her of the meeting or personally notify her of the outcome of the meeting. We satisfy the ordinance by posting the agenda well within 72 hours, as well as the minutes. And also, her complaint is like a reiteration of her previous complaint that came before you a month before, in which you dismissed that complaint, those charges, for the same reasons. So our argument basically is the same as it was before, that it's just we have satisfied the Sunshine Ordinance. We are not required by the Sunshine Ordinance to personally notify an applicant or person of a meeting. Even if that person is the subject, is an agenda subject item, and in this case, we even went the distance and listed her name and the matter on the agenda and sent it out. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thoughts, questions?
Again, I won't use the same word, but even no matter the testimony presented, I do think that the actual subject matter is under our jurisdiction. So I would move that we find jurisdiction in the case. Agree?
I would agree, and I will second that. Is there public comment on the jurisdiction of this item? Seeing none. Chris, will you call the roll, please?
On the motion, Member Knebber?
Aye.
Knebber, aye. Member Goldman?
Aye.
Goldman, aye. Mr. Chair, there are 2 ayes.
Thank you. Would you call item 4, please?
Item 4 is determination of jurisdiction on complaint filed by Michael Robinson against the Rent Board for alleged legal errors in a Rent Board decision.
Is Mr. Robinson here? Would you please approach, sir? And could you tell us why you feel that this body has jurisdiction over this item?
Well, I was trying to find out who did have jurisdiction when I was going around filling out a complaint. I didn't think the rent board had jurisdiction over it because my complaint was about the rent board and the commissioner. Excuse me. I felt that my dealing with the commissioner as my landlord, it seemed that he was able, being a commissioner, to get inside information when things was happening when one of his tenants complained. I see that the city attorney weighed in on it, and the same complaint that I emailed you, I emailed them, but they didn't enter in on that complaint. And it puzzles me who do have jurisdiction when you got a commissioner over the rent board that sets and make decisions on tenants about the legality of a rent increase or something. Well, he operates a business in the city that's unlicensed. But the city attorney don't weigh in on that there. The rent board don't weigh in on it. So when you go down there, you fighting the rent board and the commissioner, which is unfair. I've given documents to you where I've had run-ins with the rent board and the commissioner for the last 5 years. I feel that somebody's got to take jurisdiction over it because I can't complain to the rent board. I got to appeal. They addressed the appeal. But that's not what my complaint was about. My complaint was about abuse of authority, favoritism. You know, the commissioner shouldn't get information by the tenant no quicker than another landlord. By giving him inside information gives him upper hand on how to address the problem with the tenant. That's unfair. I pay rent board fee just like he do. It should be an even playing field. I go to a hearing, and I'm supposed to be able to pass out my evidence to everybody, including the administrative judge. He don't want it. While I'm giving testimony, he decides he gonna get up and walk around. But yet they wonder why I have to file a complaint. They complain about they don't see retaliation. I filed a simple complaint because it was just a small error in the rent increase. My landlord files a landlord complaint.
Thank you.
And wants to raise the rent up sky high.
Okay, thank you, sir. We may have questions for you after. Is the respondent present? Will you please approach and speak to jurisdiction on this item, please?
Honorable Commissioners, good afternoon. I'm Delene Wolf. I'm the Executive Director of the Rent Board. I'm here with my colleague, Senior Administrative Law Judge Tim Lee. Our custodian of records unfortunately had a family emergency this afternoon, but both Mr. Lee and myself can speak to the complaints that are before you. I want to tell you that we really appreciate the good work that you do in ensuring public access to public documents and commend you for that. The Rent Board is actually very proud that we've never been before this commission before, but we are today, obviously. Mr. Robinson filed a petition for alleging an unlawful rent increase at the Rent Board by his landlord, who is a Rent Board commissioner. The landlord also filed a petition seeking to raise Mr. Robinson's rent. That petition was denied. No rent increase was granted. Mr. Robinson's petition alleging a wrongful rent increase was also denied. Mr. Robinson has filed an appeal of that decision, which will go before the Rent Board commissioners on May the 18th. I assure you that his landlord, a landlord commissioner, will recuse himself from any consideration of Mr. Robinson's appeal. There is no insider information. It is a perfectly public proceeding. If Mr. Robinson's appeal were to be denied by the Rent Board Commission, then his recourse is to file a writ of administrative mandamus in Superior Court, and we agree with your counsel, who has advised you that you have no jurisdiction over this matter.
Thank you. No questions for either? Mr. Robinson, would you please approach? What section of the Sunshine Ordinance do you allege that the rent board violated?
Well, that's it. When I came down here, I just filed a complaint. I didn't know nothing about no sunshine ordinance and all of that. I was going to the department that I thought would, I could file a grievance that somebody was doing wrong in another department. I didn't know in order to do that there, you know. And plus, I thought we would have some kind of meeting. I didn't know it was gonna be a formal board meeting and all that there. I'd be able to sit down and discuss in detail my complaint.
Yeah, but see, the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force deals with access to documents, access to meetings, that sort of thing. But what we don't do is adjudicate or hear appeals from rent board decisions. So I'm afraid you brought your complaint to the
Well,
wrong department.
This wasn't an appeal from the decision.
Oh, okay.
What I was complaining about, it seems everybody misses, is that it's unfair treatment.
Right, but we don't do unfair
You
treatment
know,
either.
maybe not.
Yeah.
When I went,
Yeah.
came to the board, I was trying to find out then, who do I address the problem with?
Right.
Because it don't seem like it was the rent board.
I see what you're saying, yeah. Yeah.
We understand where you're coming from, but
Yeah.
we can only take cases where you have specific documents that you wanted, that you've asked for, that you have not gotten, and nobody's given you a reason, or if there was improper procedure in the way they conducted or agendized the meeting.
It was definitely an improper procedure the way they conducted it, but I don't think nobody gonna really look at that. When you sitting there and got law judges totally ignoring your testimony and stuff,
Right,
and get
but-
something decided to walk around, that's improper procedure.
Right, but
I know
well,
that's nothing to
but
do
it's
with
not-
y'all.
but it's not within the
from
purview of
my
the task force.
understanding.
Yeah.
But
What-
see, the problem is, a citizen like me, it's kind of hard to find out who to go to file a complaint. That's why I went to different ones.
Yeah, I understand that.
And just somehow I get a letter from y'all that I got to come to a meeting and stuff.
Right, well, because we want to hear from you and see, yeah. But what you need to do is consult with someone to give you legal advice about what to do next with your situation. We can't provide you with legal
Oh,
advice.
I wasn't
see?
looking for no legal advice. I thought maybe the city had somewhere that you could go. I've been to the ethics committee, civil rights committee. They all everybody pushes you somewhere else.
Well,
The
because
city
they all have
attorney
different-
addresses it. Yet he don't address the illegality of the commission, being on the commission. I mean, he makes decisions on a tenant, yet he don't follow the law. He's
Well,
operating
that-
an illegal business.
Well, he
But
may or may
nobody
not be-
does nothing about that.
Yes, sir. He may or may not be doing so, but that's not within our purview either.
No.
So, what you need to do is get legal advice from someone on how to proceed with your legal issue,
Okay, that's it.
really. Okay?
I move that we find no jurisdiction on this matter.
I'll second that. Any public comment on jurisdiction on this item? Seeing none, Chris, call the roll.
On the motion, Member Knebel?
Aye.
Knebel, aye. Member Goldman?
Aye.
Goldman, aye. Mr. Chair, the two ayes.
Thank you. Would you call item 5, please?
Item number 5 is determination of jurisdiction on complaint filed by Ray Hartz against the Rent Board for allegedly violating Section 67.24 of the ordinance.
Is a complainant here?
Present.
Yes, sir, would you please state your case?
Chair Goldman, Member Neber. My name is Ray Hartz, and I filed an immediate disclosure request indicated under Chapter 67.24. It is my position that the request was replied to, but not fully, that there were missing documents, and their position is not. I believe you clearly have jurisdiction, and this is something that should be heard by the entire task force.
Thank you. Is the respondent present? Would you please?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Tim Lee, Senior Administrative Law Judge at the Rent Board. As our Executive Director said, we are fully committed to providing easy access to public records. We do have a commitment not only to the public to provide them, but where there are exceptions for personnel information, we also have obligations to our employees. We responded immediately to Mr. Hart's request. We did not provide some information that is specifically exempted under the Sunshine Ordinance itself. As you know, your frequently answered questions also list some documents are exempt and gives a whole series of things that are exempt. We do not contest jurisdiction. We are hoping to get some clarification of exactly what Mr. Hartz thinks we did not provide. and whether he was even aware of those exemptions, because in his immediate disclosure request, it seems to me the focus is number 2, that he thinks we did not fully respond. He says he asked for the professional biography or curriculum vitae of any employee, provided that the home address, home telephone number, social security number, age, and marital status of the employee shall not be redacted. So he's asking for all that privacy information that your Sunshine Ordinance, that the Sunshine Ordinance and your frequently asked questions state specifically is exempt from disclosure. So I don't know if Mr. Hartz is unaware of that or whether he misinterpreted the Sunshine Ordinance with regard to its scope, but he's asking for document information that is specifically exempted. And as I say, you do have jurisdiction to decide the case, but we're hoping to get some clarification as to what exactly he feels, what information exactly he feels was not provided.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions, members? I have none. I'd entertain a motion.
I move we find jurisdiction.
And I second that. Is there any public comment on the jurisdiction of this item? Seeing none. Chris, will you please call the question?
On the motion, Member Knebber?
Aye.
Knebber, aye. Member Goldman?
Aye.
Member Goldman, aye. Mr. Chair, there are
Thank
2
you.
ayes.
This item will be heard at our next meeting of the, what, 25th? Chris?
25th.
25th. Would you please call item 6?
Item number 6 is determination of jurisdiction on complaint filed by Ray Hartz against the Rent Board for allegedly violating 67.16 of the Sunshine Ordinance.
Is a respondent here? Yeah. I mean, the complainant.
Complainant.
Yes, if you would, sir.
Chair Goldman, Member Never. Again, I, on the February 23rd, spoke at the meeting of the Rent Board. I gave them a statement clearly indicating that it was less than 150 words that I wish to have entered in the minutes. I'm very unclear as to what their position is. They clearly say they do come under Sunshine, but then they make an argument that for some reason they can choose to read this in one way or another that says they don't have to comply with certain parts of Sunshine. And I think all of those questions fall squarely in the jurisdiction of the task force and should be something heard by the entire task force.
Thank you. Is a respondent present? If you would, please approach the.
Yes, Commissioners, Delene Wolf again. We are not contesting that you have jurisdiction. What we are contesting is that we are subject to the requirements of Sunshine Ordinance Section 67.16, which says that any clerk or secretary of each board and commission enumerated in the charter. The rent ordinance, we are created by ordinance, the rent ordinance specifically. We are not a charter commission, and therefore we do not believe that we are required to fulfill these obligations.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Questions, members? No. None. I'll entertain another motion.
I do think that this is an item that should be seen by a full task force, so I move that we find jurisdiction.
I would agree and second that motion. Is there any public comment on the jurisdiction of this item? Seeing none, would you call the question, please, Chris?
On the motion, Member Knebber?
Aye.
Knebber, aye. Member Goldman?
Aye.
Goldman, aye. Mr. Chair, there are 2 ayes.
We will see you folks on the 25th. Thank you for playing. Now, item 7, are we continuing that? I see Mr. Kennard has left the room.
No, we saw him.
Yeah, he wandered in and right back out again. So let's give him a minute maybe to come back in.
Do you want me to go have a look outside?
If you have a minute to do so, yeah, maybe he's in the hall having a drink of water or something. People come, people go, you never know what they're up to. In the hallway?
Okay. Let's just go ahead and. What do you think?
Huh? Yeah, we do have a letter. In fact, yeah, so at any rate, the complaint committee has received a letter from Mr. Kennard requesting a continuance of this item. Regardless of the fact that we saw him in the building, I will respectfully comply with his letter and continue it unless there's a grave objection from anyone. Okay,
and
would you
explain.
please approach, state who you are, and tell us your objection?
My name is Tarana Moyed. I'm a contract compliance officer with the Human Rights Commission. I've sort of inherited this file now that I believe has been going on since 2005. And I submit that that based on his own letter from today, you can see that this is not an issue that the Sunshine Task Force has jurisdiction over. If you look at his letter dated May 10th, 2010, he indicates in the first paragraph that we have provided what he needs. There's no additional information. No issue exists, he says, with regard to the creation of a record, and that there's no document. I assume that means that there's no additional documents, because we have provided all these documents here. He then goes on to say in the second paragraph, this is a due process and equal protection issue. You know, that's for him to claim, but that is not an issue for you to decide, and that's something that he needs to take to a court of law, basically.
Right.
So at this point, I mean, I don't know what would be a good reason for dragging this out any longer. I think the reason he left is because he didn't expect us to show up, maybe. I don't know. But we have provided all the documents we have. They're right here. You guys made a determination that we provided all the documents that we have a couple of months ago in March of 2010. So at this point, when I spoke with our counsel, City Attorney Counsel for the HRC, we were advised that we should present him with two options. He should either go to the mayor's office and file a complaint, and they have the jurisdiction to review a complaint regarding our administrative processes, I guess, and also he can go to the Board of Supervisors and speak during the public hearings. But the task force is not the appropriate place for him to continue venting his grievance.
Questions, comments from members?
While it doesn't sit well with me, I am definitely seeing this side. I mean, from what I'm seeing here and what we've heard, it does seem to fall outside of our jurisdictions. I don't see any alleged
Yeah, I don't see any sunshine
sunshine.
complaint in it.
However, we have a history of giving the complainant the benefit of the doubt, especially when they're not here to do it. So
That's true.
I would move actually that we find no jurisdiction with reservation, I guess.
My only reservation is that I would like him to be here so I could tell it to his face. And I wish he would have hung around, frankly. But I'm inclined to agree with you, and for that reason, I will second that motion. Is there public comment on the jurisdiction of this item? Seeing none, would you call the question, please?
On the motion, Member Caneva?
Aye.
Caneva, aye. Member Goldman?
Aye.
Goldman, aye. Mr. Chair, there are two ayes.
Chris, would you be kind enough to contact Mr. Kennard and let him know the reasons that we found no jurisdiction were for the reasons that the respondent stated? There's no sunshine violation here.
Alleged.
Alleged, yeah. It's just, there's no meat there. I truly think Mr. Kennard wants a forum, and which is great, but this isn't the forum. So, anyway.
Okay,
Thank you
Mr.
for
Chairman.
coming down today. Thank you
you.
for hauling all that stuff around with you. Yeah, yeah. All right, would you call the next item, please?
Item number 8 is the administrator's report.
What does the administrator have for us today?
Nothing to add, Mr. Chair.
Nothing to add.
Okay.
Would you call item 9, please?
Item 9 is public comment on items not listed on the agenda.
Are there any members of the public that wish to comment on items not on the agenda? Seeing none, would you call item 10, please?
Item 10 is announcements, comments, questions, and future agenda items.
Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to
I move we adjourn.
second without objection.